coming up this week on the Soul into Purpose podcast.
There was a lot of self-loathing, self-judgment, low self-esteem, and questioning everything, self-blame. In my heart, I waged a war against my God that, oh, you don't love me, you hate me. That's why you have chosen suffering for me. I used to ask myself in that depression, why I'm here, what is my purpose, why should I wake up? It was so difficult to even wake up from the bed in the morning because I didn't know what to do throughout the day. So mental health is about creating healthy relationships, bonds, friendships, connections. So a person who has a good mental health can do that.
Queen Akila leads the way, yeah. Taking you to a brighter day, yeah. So grab your chair and your coffee, yeah. It's time for soul stories. Come vibe with me. Let's get sold into purpose. Yeah, we're sold into purpose. Hearts on fire, dreams take flight now. Walking boldly into light though. Let's get sold into purpose. Yeah, we're sold into purpose. Yeah.
Hi there, Purpose Seekers. I trust that you're well. Thank you so much for joining us for another incredible episode on the Soul into Purpose podcast. I'm your host, Akila Thompson, and as always, it is a privilege and a pleasure to share time and space with you. We're in season 5. It is the season of grace. Yes, and we have double blessings today because we're at the 5th episode and we have an incredible guest coming to us today all the way from Pakistan. You don't want to miss it because we're talking about an incredible and important topic. But before we even get into that, I just want to take a moment to acknowledge some key people, right? Alrighty, and also to give you some notices. Remember that we're bringing you stories from across the globe, and I also want to let you know that season 6 registration, it is now open. All you have to do is to visit our social media platforms at Sold Into Purpose. That's on Instagram, and you can click the link in the bio to register. We're taking stories from across the globe. We have limited slots available for the new season, and we really want to hear from you with your incredible soul stories across the globe, because what we're doing here is indeed intentional and more so international. So we thank you so much for joining us. We want to give a special shout out to everyone who has been downloading our episodes across the globe. We're so ecstatic that you listen to us, you're watching us, you're leaving those comments on YouTube. Yes, we've responded to all of them. Thank you so much for supporting the respective episodes as well as sharing your insights and just your overall experience. We also want to acknowledge our very valued guests, because without them, there wouldn't be a sip, right? So we appreciate you for taking the time and also for having the level of bravery to come and to share your story. A lot of persons may not know, but for many of my guests, this is the very first time they're sharing their stories, and I'm so elated that they chose to do it in this safe space. So I am truly honored. I also want to acknowledge those who registered for our free workshop. Thank you so much for those who showed up. We appreciate that. And I also offered some complimentary passes to them. So we'll be having those sessions this week to help them get started on their personal branding journey. So if you are out there and you wish to get connected, all you have to do is to follow us on all socials at Soul Into Purpose, or me at Akila Thompson. And that is, I am Akila Thompson on Instagram. Akila Thompson, that's the website, soulintopurpose.com, akilathompson.com. All you have to do is to visit any of those platforms, send me a DM. The DMs are open and we can definitely get you started on your journey. We also have the October visibility bundle, which entails an ebook. We have some templates that you can unlock. You get a session with me so we can curate that and speak about how it is that you wish to position yourself in the marketplace at this particular point in time. time. So it's only 20,000 JMD, and all you have to do is just to reach out to us. We have the links available for you to get started with those sessions. I also have one-on-one consultation sessions for those who want to book those sessions. All the information will have it below on screen, as well as you can go to our social media platforms at soulintoPurpose.com and be a part of that. I'm so excited to work with you. So if you want that one-on-one session to unlock your purpose, that purpose activation session, all you have to do is to click the link at Sold Into Purpose, and we will definitely get started. So thank you so much for checking in and showing up and showing out as always. We appreciate your support. Here on the Sold Into Purpose podcast, this is where we invite our very incredible guests, where they come and they share with us practical insights and actionable steps that you can use to unlock purpose. So please don't be a stranger. If you're part of our SIP community, we're trying to get to 1,000 followers on TikTok as well as on Instagram and Facebook. So please follow the pages. That is SOULED Into Purpose on all socials. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel at Akeelia Thompson. That is AKEELIA Thompson on YouTube. That is where you'll be able to see all of our video contents, because we definitely want to connect with you. We also have those powerful voices of impacts, and if you check the pages, you will see where persons are leaving their reviews of their experiences with us, and we're so honored that we have created that platform, and it's blessing persons, it's touching lives around the globe, and we can do so much more. But of course, we need your support. So if you are out there and you believe that this is a project or a passion that you have to help others to unlock their purpose, then please feel free to partner with us so that we can take the vision to the nation. All you have to do is to reach out to us at Sold Into Purpose on any of our social media platforms, or you may send us an email at soldintopurpose@gmail.com, or you may go to our website at soldintopurpose.com and hit that donation button right on the podcast tab. So if you need any other information, you can always reach out to us and we will provide you with the respective links. So thank you so much for your support. As always, purpose seekers, when we are here gathered together, we go on journeys. And today we're going on a journey with Madiha Soomro, and she's joining us all the way from Pakistan. She's helping us to find clarity in the midst of the chaos. So trust me, you don't want to miss it. She is someone who's a master coach. She helps individuals to release their anger, find clarity, to be unlocked in purpose. And we're so grateful that she's here to share her story, but also to provide us with some tips on how we can go to the next level. She's here today to share insights on how mental wellness connects deeply with spirituality as well as emotional balance. She shared some powerful gems, and trust me, you want to stick and stay with us because it's coming up right ahead. So we've talked about what it truly means to protect your peace, renew your mind, and how faith and intellect can help us to live a balanced life, looking at the different relationships that we foster and how important it is for us to be at peace as much as we possibly can so that we can live a wholesome life. This is a timely conversation because we have Mental Health Day, which is coming up this Friday. It is recognized globally, and so we want to be a part of that as best as we possibly can. Here on SIP, we always have a guest who speaks about that because we believe in holistic development and the whole man, right? So you want to ensure that you are healthy, wealthy, and of course that you are living and thriving and not just surviving. So this is a very, very important conversation, and I just want you, as you're joining, to just share with someone, let somebody know who will let somebody know that we are live. Hey purpose seekers, so for this season we have so many things that we want to let you know so that you can tap into. If you go over to our website at soulintopurpose.com, you will find there that you can book a one-on-one session with me. Yes, that one-on-one coaching session to unlock your purpose. We also have our store. So feel free to go over and make your purchases. We also have some incredible books that you can purchase, and of course, my book will be coming out soon. So we would absolutely love your support. Coming up soon, we'll also have some ebooks as well as some courses that you can tap into. And we'll be having some online courses for persons who want to tap into that next level. Those courses will be available on replay so that you can go through a self-paced learning. So trust me, so much to come. So please ensure that you head right over to soldinspurpose.com, and we appreciate your support. Purpose seekers, you know that we can't go any further into the show without acknowledging the one who has given us the skills and capabilities to do what we do each and every Wednesday. We thank you so much for joining us. So, it's time, right? Let us pray. Heavenly Father, as we come before your presence, mighty God, we thank you for being the wonderful and awesome God that you have been. We thank you, mighty God, for just covering our minds, our body, and spirit. Today, we lift up every listener who feels overwhelmed, weary, or emotionally drained. We pray, mighty God, that you will remind them that you are the Prince of Peace. We pray, mighty God, that you will remind them that healing is possible. Help us to quiet our minds, to strengthen our hearts, and walk daily in your grace. These and other mentioned mercies we ask of you, mighty God, and we tell you thanks that it is finished, it is well, and it is done in your holy, precious, wonderful, and mighty name. No other name than the name of Jesus. Amen. Amen and amen. Purpose seekers, stick and stay with us, because up next we have the Grace series. Thank you for staying with us. I'm your host, Akila Thompson. Welcome to the Grace series. And today we're looking at healing the mind and guarding our hearts. We're just really tapping into some key strategies that we can use to be well, because this is a season we're talking about mental health in this episode, and it's important for us to really lock in and check in with ourselves. The word commands us to love our neighbors as we love ourselves, and to do that effectively, we must love ourselves adequately and properly so that we can also love those who are around us. This is a great series, and this is where I drop excerpts from my book, my upcoming book, that is A Fall from Grace by Akila Thompson. And this is where I'm talking about my life and the losses and the challenges, but also how you can pick up the pieces, how you can see grace flowing in your life, and ultimately God, who is a restorer of everything, the great, holy, and mighty one. So trust me, when this book comes out, all you have to do is to get a copy, right? Make sure you get a copy. This is definitely something that you want in your arsenal to go to the next level. And speaking about the book, on social media platforms, I have the Grace Diary. So there you'll get to see some entries, you'll get to learn a little bit about the chapters and all of that. So please stay connected to all of our platforms at Sold Into Purpose. I'm also doing the Grace series on LinkedIn and TikTok every Thursday at 6 p.m. JA time. So if you want to learn all about the story and the reason behind this book and who it is for, all you have to do is just to stay connected. I've done the first episode already, yes, so we're doing the second episode this week. So join us tomorrow at 6 p.m. on LinkedIn. My LinkedIn is at Akila Thompson, that is Akeela Thompson on LinkedIn. So whenever we think about grace, it's not just speaking about our spirits, but then we're also looking at the restoration of our minds. Mental wellness and spiritual wellness, they go hand in hand. Healing sometimes looks like going to therapy, journaling, praying, or taking time to rest. It's about unplugging and resetting. God wants us to be whole, not busy. So as you listen today, I pray that you will remember that peace is not found in perfection, but instead it is found in presence. It is found in being present. It is found in showing up in those moments that matter. I just want to remind you that we're all here for a particular point in time. So I just want to remind you of these key things. 1, healing begins with honesty and being real about how you feel. Your emotions are real. Experience them. Cry if you must. Sometimes we need to scream a little bit. Just relax in a room or somewhere, but the reality is acknowledge your emotions. That is how you're going to process them, feel them, and so that you can heal from them. Then, two, we're looking at your mental and spiritual health. These are both connected, and the reality is we have to nurture them. So, like anything else, we have to put in the requisite investment. That's called the spiritual investment to ensure that we are well mentally and spiritually. Three, we need to take small steps like breathing, practicing gratitude, and of course, doing some form of reflection. Rome wasn't built in a day. Your crisis may not turn overnight, but the reality is you can take small steps. And in doing so, remember that movement brings momentum. Right? So take the small steps. Then we can look at rest. Rest is something that is sacred. Even the Bible tells us that the Lord rests, all right? Taking care of your physical well being honors God. And then five, grace gives you the permission to pause, not to perform. We're caught up in such a performative world where we see the advent of technology and social media and everything that is happening there. And more often than not, we are pressured, even so, by societal norms and all the other factors. But the reality is, we can take some time to bask in His glory, to bask in who we are. We don't need to perform for anybody. We can take some time from the spaces. We don't have to be everywhere unless it's absolutely necessary, and just tap into who you are. So this episode, it speaks to a reminder of helping us that we need to breathe. Sometimes we need to slow it down and realign. And I just want you to stick and stay with us today because we're talking to Madiha Soomro. She's joining us all the way from Pakistan, and this conversation is critical. So for those who are out there, you're experiencing challenges with mental health, or if you know someone who's going through a tough moment, we pray that you just send them this episode, breathe a word of prayer over them, read some scriptures to them, send somebody a friendly note today. Just put a smile on somebody's face because you never know what people are going through. Up next, we have the Soul Stories. We're talking about finding clarity in the chaos. I'm your host, Akila Thompson, and I invite you to stick and stay with us for Soul Stories. Hi there, Purpose Seekers. Thank you so much for joining us for another incredible episode on the Sold into Purpose podcast. We're in season 5, and of course, we bring to you our very incredible guests. And each time they come, they provide us with practical insights that you and I can use to live a more purposeful life. Today, we have an incredible woman. You'll see her on your screen shortly, and she is someone who is certified. She's here to help us to understand the correlation between mental health and how it is that you and I can unlock our purpose. She specializes in anger management and really just helping individuals to find clarity as they go through life. We understand that universally we go through so many things, and so the issue of mental health, it is indeed an important discussion that you and I need to have. She is an NLP Master Coach who specializes in helping people find calm, confidence, and clarity. And she's here today to help us to do just that. She's joining us all the way from Pakistan. Yes, we have international guests on this program, and she is the incredible Madiha Soomro. Hi, Madiha, how are you? Thank you so much for joining us here on the Sold into Purpose podcast.
Hi, Akilia. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to come to your studio and add value to people's life. And you are doing a great job.
Thank you so much for that. And we know that we'll definitely have such a fulfilling conversation today. But before we get into the meat of the matter and tackle mental health and everything that is related to that, I just want you to take us back a little bit. What was it like growing up in Pakistan?
Akilia, it was a mixture of both positive and negative experiences. Since childhood, we have seen like close family bonds and a family living together, eating together, celebrating religious days, and doing things together. It has been a great journey, and my parents have invested a lot on the education of their children, even their daughters. So they never discriminated in the context of education, but living here had also some complexities in a way that there was no freedom to think independently, have your own opinion, and even if the freedom was there, it was restricted in a way that you were not allowed to have your opinions, let alone share them. There was a lot of good girl conditioning, religious pressure, judgments on the basis of religion. And one more thing that I have seen since childhood is that people, when they were struggling with emotions or emotional pain or difficult emotions, they were not allowed to have a safe space or to share their difficult emotions. They would receive these kind of comments like snap it out, move on, and don't be angry, be strong. So, comments like this. So, I think there was a lack of safe space. It led to the isolation of family members. Sometimes the behaviors were unpredictable. The behaviors of the parents were unpredictable. You wouldn't expect any reaction on sharing a very small thing. And I also faced bullying, sexual harassment as a child. And since I was the second daughter, a son was expected after my first elder sister. So it was an expectation that this son will born. And most of the daughters in Pakistan, they're born with the expectation that there's son coming after their child. So these were the complexities that shaped my journey because I always felt the absence of that safe space because I could see that there is a lot in my parents as well. They are carrying something, they are carrying the traumas from the older generation and then they are trying to project it and they are unaware of it. They don't want to acknowledge that they exist because it makes them feel uncomfortable.
Thank you so much for sharing that and for being so transparent in your journey. And we have some commonalities because our parents, of course, they want the best for us. But as you rightfully mentioned, sometimes what they're transferring to us is that generational trauma. Even if it is that they recognize it, we know that when parents, for them to accept certain things, we understand how that is. But there is something that you mentioned as it relates to being the second child and your parents expecting a son, because it's the same thing here in Jamaica. Persons want to have the sons to carry on the last name and to carry on the legacy. And I assume that the male child represents some level of fruitfulness. So I do understand where that comes in. And we have the nuance of religion, because religion is big for many persons as it relates to becoming a core part of who you are and how you move on in life later on. But as you went through these experiences, and I would have imagined that they would have created some level of trauma, how did that shape you or mold you as you started to grow older?
I always felt that I'm sensitive towards the mood of people around me, and I could gauge that they're struggling, even without sharing it or telling it to me. I have always judged that sensitivity that maybe I'm weak, maybe I care more, and being more empathetic. I judged being more empathetic in a way that, like, I took that empathy as a curse until I realized that it's my biggest gift and a blessing, and I'm here for this purpose to be more empathetic to people. So the reaction to my traumas was me being an anxious person, and also there was a lot of self-loathing, self-judgment, low self-esteem, and questioning everything, self-blame. So these were my reactions to the traumas, that thinking that I'm not good enough, I don't deserve anything good, I'm worthless. So these were the reactions. And when I grew up after 20s, I connected the dots, and slowly and gradually I started to realize that it is coming from the childhood, and maybe these are not my voices, these are someone else's voices, and I have internalized them in my mind. And that was the acknowledgement of the problem. The solution didn't start yet. So I just acknowledge that the problem exists and it's not normal. whatever I'm feeling is not normal and it has to change. Because for me, everybody else was important except me. Everybody's else opinions were important except me, and my opinion doesn't. I used to tell myself while talking to myself that I don't matter. You know, you're so unkind to yourself when you have a lot of shame attached to your identity. So you question yourself a lot. So that was the time when I started to realize in my mid 20s that it needs to change and I'm suffering because of it. And I started my inner work in the late 20s.
Change can only come when you and I acknowledge that one, something is wrong, and two, that we need to start the inner work. So, for those who are watching and listening, the first step that we have to do, as Madia has shared with us just now, is to acknowledge that this is not right, how I'm feeling is not right, and that there must be a better way to have a more enhanced life. Because sometimes we're not exposed to other aspects, so we don't know that there is better, but there's something in our spirit that connects with us and says, hey, this doesn't feel right, this doesn't feel good, perhaps there is another way. So that's the first thing. And as you mentioned, tapping into purpose or unlocking your purpose, for you, what does purpose mean to you, Maria?
My journey has mostly been about finding the purpose. So I had a childhood dream. I wanted to be an officer and wanted to work in the mainstream government. And I thought this is how I can help people, because I have always been an altruistic person who would love helping other people. So I thought this is the way I'll be helping poor people and I'll be a civil servant. I'll serve the public. I invested 5 years into passing that exam. 5 years. And I attempted that exam 6 times. It's called as CSS here, Civil Services exam. Akeelia, I invested 5 years of my youth into this exam and I terribly failed it. 6 times I failed the same exam and only one paper. Out of 12 papers, all the papers were cleared, only one was left. And I was completely shattered because everything in my life was at zero: career, finances, relationships, spirituality. Because in my heart, I waged a war against my God that, oh, you don't love me, you hate me, that's why you have chosen suffering for me. And why have you created me if you hate me? That became the turning point of my life, and I went into depression for the first time in my life. Because before that, I was dealing with all the issues myself. I was a positive person, I never gave up. But this thing shattered me completely because I had a very strong belief system that since God has given me so much difficulty, so this is the gift He is going to give me. I created in my mind that okay, He is going to solve all my problems now because I deserve it, and He must give something to me now. But my grinding didn't stop, and that became the biggest test of my life. So I went into depression after failing that exam, and I used to ask myself in that depression why I'm here, what is my purpose, why should I wake up. It was so difficult to even wake up from the bed in the morning because I didn't know what to do throughout the day. I used to only think about killing the time. And as time passed, one day I came across a person who was offering a training on social media. Just out of curiosity, I asked and put a question there that from where can you get this certification? I had no plan of doing any certification of NLP. You won't believe that I had zero money in my pocket, zero, not only 1 rupee. So I was just out of curiosity. I asked him, and he said, "Oh, it's this much." It was like 2.5 lakh Pakistani rupees, and it was too much for me. And I was really angry after talking to him because I was like, "I don't have money. He's asking for too much money." And then he let me sit in the class, and he created an installment plan for me. And I took loan from one of my friends and started the journey. And I hated the journey initially. I hate it. I judged it because there's no mental health awareness. There's very less mental health awareness, particularly in these third world countries. So I didn't get any social validation after completing the certification. So I judged my work for 1.5 years. And then after 2 years, I realized that I'm doing a good job. Like, my purpose is very big, and this is what I came into this world. There was a lot of financial abundance. I started working on myself. I started challenging. First, the work started internally, and I started taking clients. My healing was not complete, the inner work was not complete, but I started taking clients, and my clients played a huge role in healing me. When I saw them changing themselves and healing, I started healing myself. So it was never planned. I never thought of becoming a therapist or a coach. But the journey has been so beautiful without any sales and marketing till today. There's no single month where I don't have clients without any sales and marketing. So it was written in this way, and now I own the whole story. And now I know why my story was written in this way, because now I can relate to the pain that people come with, and I can understand their pain. I can help them because I got rid of my anxiety without medicines. I got to the root of my anxiety, self loathing, low self esteem, and here I am today helping them and sharing all whatever has helped me and applying all the tools and so it's been a painful journey to get to the purpose, but I finally reached there, and I love what I'm doing.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that. You mentioned that at one particular point in time in your journey, it was hard for you to come out of bed because you did not understand what your purpose was and you were just going through this phase of anger. Maria, for somebody who is out there and they are experiencing that at this particular point in time, even the lack of finances, what would you say to them to help pull them out of that particular space?
First of all, they should not attack themselves. Okay, they should have this awareness that everything is temporary. Nothing is permanent in this world. Either it's good times or bad times. So if you are going through a bad time, take it slowly. And progress is not always like achieving big things. Sometimes it's just showing up and not giving up. And not giving up on hope. Because hope is not an emotion, it's a way of thinking. So if you give up, then you will fail. So if someone who is going through the same period, the first thing that they need to do is to, even if little hope is left in them, they should hold on to it and take it very slowly, and should not stop working hard and take whatever comes in their way, because that's what I did. Even in my depressive episode, I was doing little things and trying for something to work out for me, and I created acceptance that I can never be the one that I wanted to be. So if you are in a denial state, you have failed at something, for example, relationship or a career, or maybe you're going through a divorce or a breakup, the first thing that you need to do is to create acceptance that it has happened and it is the reality. And then you will be able to find out why it's happened, where you were meant to go after this. So first thing that you need to do is to take slow, easeful steps, not give up, be hopeful, hold on to the hope, give your best, and that will give your best.
Thank you for sharing that. And the reality is, for some of us, we may be experiencing a bad day or a bad season, but sometimes some of the things that didn't work out, it is just that it should not have worked out. So when we get to the other side of healing, we realize that it really was not meant to be. So as you said, give ourselves grace. But people encounter all of these challenges, and sometimes it leads them to this state or to this issue of mental health. In our Jamaican context, we don't like to talk about it. So once you say mental health, people just assume that you're somebody who is mad, you're out on the street, that sort of thing. Can you define for us what is mental health and just break the stereotype that it does not necessarily mean somebody who is out on the street, that this is something that can impact any one of us?
Mental health refers to a state of emotional, psychological, and social well being. And it doesn't mean being happy all the time. Like, it means that how much you're able to recover from the setbacks of your life. How do you deal with your emotions? Because research shows that emotional intelligence is also one of the biggest aspect of IQ intelligence. It depends on your mental health, your way of dealing with stress, because stress is a normal part of life. It also has a positive aspect to it. It depends how you're regulating your emotions, how you are managing them, because when emotions goes up, intelligence goes down. It also depends how you are creating bonds, connections, and how is the quality of your relationships in life, because it does impact your mental health a lot. And loneliness reduces life's expectancy 45%. It is called as the epidemic of this time, loneliness. It happens because of absence of genuine human connections. So it does impact mental health a lot. So mental health is also about creating healthy relationships, bonds, friendships, connections. So a person who has a good mental health can do that. Mental health is also about enjoying life. You should know how to enjoy life, how to recover from setbacks, how to deal with the challenges of life. Because some people, they are just carried away by the pain and the challenges of life. They take it so much that they stop living their life. For example, if there's a death of a family member, then you have to deal with grief. And grief is a very intense emotion. So it depends on your mental health. If you think that you haven't been able to process the death, because some people suppress these intense emotions and suppression never helps. It manifests in itself in different physical health issues. Emotional well-being also include dealing with stress. If you have high stress, it weakens your immune system, and your decreased emotional well-being will lead to more stress, weakness of immune system, and also other chronic physical illnesses. So it's all about mental health, your emotional well-being, your physical health, and your social relationships, how you deal with life, everything. It's a part of mental health. It's a very holistic thing. It also impacts your lifestyle and routines, the kind of routine that you have.
All right, so I just want to introduce a little bit here just to bring in some pointers to our guests. So you spoke about the need for genuine connection as it relates to our relationships, so that can be family, friends, or just having a support system around us. You also spoke about the need for emotional intelligence and how it is that we can regulate our emotions. Stress is a normal thing, but we also have to put in coping mechanisms so that we can know how to handle stress and how to handle setbacks. And then we have, as you mentioned, the intense emotion of grief, which comes with the loss of somebody or the loss of certain things too, but because persons are attached to different things as you go through life. But there's something that you said that I found particularly interesting. You said that when our emotion goes up, or intelligence goes down. Can you share a little bit about that?
When emotions are so heightened, you cannot think clearly, because your emotion sits on the driving seat of your life. If you learn how to be emotionally intelligent, then you can regulate. For example, if I'm too angry, right? I cannot think clearly when I'm too angry, because my vagus nerve gets deactivated. So I cannot think clearly when I'm too fearful. I will be taken aback. I won't be able to take any decision if I'm so fearful. I won't be able to have new experiences in life. If I'm too sad, I'll be slowed down. I won't be able to live an active life. So whenever any emotion goes up, your intelligence goes down. What is the right way how to deal with it is that you learn some tools and techniques how to regulate your emotions and also how to manage them. So one of the most coping mechanism that people follow is that they just reject their emotions, they suppress it, and they tell themselves that it doesn't matter, I'll ignore it. You cannot ignore your pain, you cannot ignore your heavy emotions. What do? You just sit with them, let them pass through you, and talk to them. They are like a beloved child in you. For example, a part of you that is angry is like a little child. It only needs your love and compassion. So if you ignore that little child, they'll be more in pain. So what do? You sit with them, try to comfort them, and then they are okay. So these are parts of you. All these emotions, they are little babies inside you, and they need your love and attention.
She said little babies inside. All right. So I know that in order for persons to get a full essence as it relates to regulating their emotion, it will take more than one session, a quality session with a coach or therapist like yourself. But if you could say maybe 3 or 4 things, practical things that we can do in our daily life to help us to regulate those emotions, what are those things that you would say that we can do right now?
One technique that has proved to be most effective with my clients is being aware of the self talk and reframing the self talk. For example, if my client has passed a statement that I thought that my romantic relationship will be the sincere relationship in my life because all other relationships haven't been sincere, so but still it was the last relationship and it still proved to be insincere. So I'm really sad about this fact that no one has ever been sincere to me. And then I wrote down the statement exactly in her words, and then I broke it down in front of her. I asked her, how do you define sincerity? She said sincerity is about transparency. And then I asked her, have your parents been transparent to you or not? She said yes. And then one by one, I asked her about all the relationships. And then she herself proved that she passed a very generalized statement just to validate her victim part. So, this is what we do. So, when we are negative and we are playing as a victim, we pass generalized statements, we delete half of the information, and we distort our reality because we want to feel comfort in being a victim. And there's no growth in being a victim. So the best technique that can help you to come out of that negative zone is to reframe, because most of these thoughts, they are fake, they are not true, and they make us feel negative. For example, if I'll start saying that I'm not good enough, I'll find a lot of reasons of not being good enough. But if I reframe it in a way that there are some strengths I'm good at, and I also have some weaknesses, and I acknowledge my strengths, I also acknowledge my weaknesses. I commit to work on my weaknesses and become a better person, but in the process of becoming a better person, I can never be perfect. This is how I'll reframe this thought that I'm not good enough, and then I'll feel that I'm better, I'm improving, I'm progressing. And second technique that I would like to share is to move your body. Don't just sit there. Yeah, movement is very important. It plays a huge role in mental health and also in physical health. So move your body and be kind to yourself, particularly in the moments when you are struggling, and offer your pain, compassion, and love instead of judgment. Another thing is to be hopeful. It's also a part of reframing self talk. One thing that is mostly ignored is to prioritize fun, entertainment, and hobbies, and do things that makes you happy at least once a week.
Thank you for sharing that. In Jamaica, as you mentioned, that we should do something nice for ourselves at least once a week. In Jamaica, I think our version of that is that we call it a feel for something nice. So, when we feel for something nice, that might be chocolate, going out, just getting yourself a little gift, something fancy, but that's how we term it. So, there is a place for that. Moving your body. Many persons, they look at exercise as something that is vain because you're trying to do this and to be in shape for somebody else. But now we're hearing from the certified expert that this helps us to tap into that zone and also have those positive experiences. So myself too, we need to get some more steps in. So we'll definitely incorporate that as a part of our journey. And thank you for sharing those tips. But you mentioned something that is important, and what we looked at just now is how it is that we can look within ourselves and to see, what these emotions are and how we can tap into it. But there's something that is bigger, because it's one thing to identify when something is wrong with you, but there's also the aspect of identifying when something is wrong with others. And for me, I believe that's ever so often. Sometimes, well, humans are inherently selfish at times, but the reality is many of us were going through so much that it's hard to look outside of ourselves and to see that our neighbor needs a little help. So, what are some signs that we can look at that maybe outside of myself and my issues, I have a friend, I have a mother, father, just somebody, they're going through a lot? What are some of those signs that we can look out for?
One of the biggest signs, and that's common, is that these kind of people, they isolate themselves because they have this kind of thought process that they're alone in the pain. No one cannot understand their pain, and they cannot explain it to anyone else how they are feeling, because they are overly identified with the emotions and they don't hold space for it because it's too much to feel. So isolation is the common sign. And then second thing is change in their personality, behaviors and moods. Sometimes they will have some suicidal thoughts, you will observe. And also their physical health will start deteriorating. You will see their skin going like very dead, and by looking at them you can sense that they are going through something intense, and maybe depression or suicidal ideations. So these are the signs that you can look for, because as I told you, this stress weakens the immune system, because body is in survival mode and all the blood flow is towards the heart. So when all the blood flows towards the heart, your immune system, your reproductive system, digestive system, everything is affected. And you would see these people having stomach issues, body pain, autoimmune disorders, and other issues like headaches, migraine. They won't be able to get outside the bed. And yeah, one more thing, Akilia, sometimes the depression is also high functioning. You would see individuals doing everything and still they will be depressed inside. These are most of the people who are labeled as a strong people in the family, and they're so much labeled as strong that they accept the label. And then when they are becoming weak, they cannot accept it that they are becoming weak. When they cannot accept it, then how can they share it? They cannot share. They feel so judged. I have had dealt with such clients as well. For the entire world, they will be the strongest people, but deep inside, they are suffering a lot and struggling with emotions, and they are burnt out. They are not happy, and when they are alone with themselves, they cry. So you will also find out these kind of people suffering through high functioning depression when they are functioning a lot. They don't get the safe space in the family, and families like, oh, she's strong, he's strong, he'll do it herself. And family focuses more on the person who is apparently weak. So these strong people, they are ignored most of the time, but research shows that real strength is embracing your vulnerability. If you ignore your vulnerability, you cannot call yourself as a strong person, because strength and everything is in duality. If you're strong, you are also weak, and you integrate yourself, you create a balance. You have to balance between both the things. Saying or sharing that I'm struggling is seen as a weakness in our society, but it's not real weakness. Real weakness, not speaking up.
Thank you for sharing that. The real weakness is not speaking up. I can't call myself strong if it is that I'm not willing to acknowledge or accept my vulnerability. Some powerful gems there. But there's something that you shared, because I've had that. I have my book coming up, A Fall from Grace, which spoke about it. And I was one of those high functioning individuals until one evening I got in from work and everything just collapsed, because you feel it, in all honesty, you feel it, but because you're so caught up in so many things, you don't take the time to process it. And then you have this out of body experience, so to speak. Nobody wants to experience or to process the discomfort. So that's one aspect. But then You mentioned speaking up, which is good, and I highly recommend that. But the reality is, Maria, because even in my own life, sometimes you speak up and you share your experiences with other individuals, and you believe that it was a safe space, but indeed, all they took from it was a gossip point. And some persons feel really betrayed that I shared something with you in confidence, and instead of covering me, either praying me up or giving me some words of encouragement, you've now weaponized what I've shared with you. So when it comes to that level of authentic connection, persons struggle with that because persons have been disingenuous. To somebody who has been in that space, they've shared before, and they're like, I don't want to open up again because the first time I did, it caused me pain. What would you say to like a client who comes to you and they've had that experience?
So, first of all, this kind of person has to accept that pain is a part of common humanity. Everybody in this world who has come into this world will come into this world, or people who have gone, everybody has gone through pain. It's a part of your life because it's a test. You are not in heaven, you are in this world. So, please create acceptance for the fact that pain is a part of common humanity. It's a part of being human. Not everybody deserves to know your story. So you don't share it with everybody. What you do is you share it with trustworthy people. This is the reason that I mentioned that make connections, make stronger bonds. And it's also one of the biggest investment that you would do, and you will realize that it's very important when you are in your adulthood, because that's the time when you start feeling more lonely. So invest in your bonds, make good friends, and then test them how sincere they are, and create these safe spaces. And also seek professional help. If you feel that you are struggling, go for therapy, go to a coach and seek professional help. So if you think that there's no one around me, I cannot trust anyone, maybe you are being driven by fears and insecurities. Because how is this possible that there's no one in this world and you cannot trust anyone? There are good people who exist, who are working on themselves. So you need to find the right people, and you need to trust the right people, because in the process of trusting the right people, you will also find the wrong ones, and then you filter them out.
But as we're coming down, Maria, because I shared at the top of the episode that you're in Pakistan, I'm in Jamaica, what would you like to see as it relates to mental health overall? If you could change one thing or implement one thing as a professional, what would you say that universal thing would be?
We are connected by fear and disdain. All of us, we are fearing each other, and hiding good things, that oh, there will be some evil eye on me. We are so scared of each other in this time and era, and it's a very sad thing because it was not like this. So instead of fear, all of us need to be connected by love and compassion, because this fear is leading to loneliness. And since we are so much connected through internet and social media, still all of us feel lonely. And the more we are connected to each other, we are just seconds away. Like you are in Jamaica, I'm in Pakistan, and we are talking and we feel connected, but still we feel lonely. We are just seconds away from each other. Why? Because of fear. So we need to stop fearing from each other and trust in the goodness of humanity, because still good humans are still existing, good things are still existing. No one is completely bad. There's always something good in every human being. We need to look to that goodness and encourage people to work on themselves and not fear each other, and be happy in the people who are succeeding. Instead of threatened by their success, make them your inspiration. Like make them your role model. That oh, instead of thinking why didn't I reach there, tell yourself if they can reach there, I'll be inspired by them. I will also reach there. Take inspiration instead of jealousy and judgment, and create acceptance for the differences, because this thing is also lacking. So I'm sorry, you asked for only one thing and I'm telling you the multiple.
That's important for us to as you said, no one is inherently bad. There's some good aspect to them. But even some of us who consider ourselves to be good, we still have our bad aspects as well. It's just that as it relates to the ratio, you made a valid point that we should create acceptance because for me, it's a season or a period of grace. So I'm giving grace to myself to go through to know that, as you mentioned earlier, sometimes showing up might just be that I got through the day. It doesn't mean that I'm at 100 or 110 every single day, but you showed up, you still were able to make your contribution and also give grace to somebody else that maybe if I call them and they didn't take my call, perhaps they're busy or they're going through their own struggles. So I can, look at an empathetic view to say that perhaps she's going through that and I can reach out to or I can send an encouraging word or message to them to pull them through as well. But Maria, for somebody who's out there and they are seeking that professional help, so they may not necessarily have the safe space, or they do have the safe space, but you don't want to share your business with everybody. How can they reach out to someone like you and get connected with you? And you can share your contact, your email, your business, your website, so that they know how to find you.
They can reach out to me directly through my website because the website is connected to my WhatsApp. Also, I'm really active on LinkedIn. People can reach out to me with my name, Madiha Soomro, MadihaSoomro. They can just type this name on LinkedIn and they can directly DM.
You mentioned one thing which I'm a little curious about, and maybe our audience is curious about it. I'm not sure if you're able to just give us all the tricks and trade in one go, but you said that you can look at someone and know that they're going through something without them even saying anything to you. What are maybe two or three things that you look on or you look for?
Sometimes it's the energy because I'm a strong believer in energy, and a part of me is really spiritual. Spirituality helps me a lot. So you can sense the energy in their presence and also the body language. Body language tells you a lot. So, for example, if someone is closed like this, it's a sign of protecting yourself because you are more fearful of the world, and they are more like this, closed, and they will walk slow, they're slouchy. And most people who go through big childhood traumas, they're slouchy, they are like this, they walk and postures like this. Confident people who are sorted, who seem to be sorted, they walk straight. If you are good at observing the body language, since we have to do it in the therapy, so we are trained in that and we can sense it. But also, you cannot go and directly tell people that you need help. They can be offended. You can tell them indirectly, maybe tell them a story about someone who worked on themselves. Find some indirect ways to tell people or share a success story of someone who healed themselves. Another thing that I want to mention is even when you come into the therapy, you are the main character and you put efforts to change yourself. Therapist is or a coach is there to guide you, motivate you, give you emotional support and all kind of support. They will also call you out. Because if you want to change your life, you have to change yourself first of all. It's the deep inner work. No one else is going to change. It's you who will change the entire. For example, if I went through all the pain in my childhood that I mentioned, I can just cry over it and then become a victim, and then I'll say the world has been bad to me. No, I took the pen and paper and I rewrote my story because I said I cannot give up. This cannot be the end of my story. So when I die, I want to people say good things about me.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for sharing that. As we're coming down, I have one question to you because recently here we have had quite a number of suicide, young persons mainly, who were going through different situations. And sometimes the signs were there, yes, but the family or those who are around didn't really see them, so to speak. They have now passed on, unfortunately, and we say condolences to the family. But for those who are left behind, and they were like, man, maybe I could have seen the sign, or you have that sense of guilt or that state of shock. What would you say to those individuals who are left behind and they now have to pick up the pieces after they've lost their loved ones? What would you say to them?
There's no easy answer to this question because it's the biggest loss. Like losing a loved one, I would say, is the biggest loss. You go through grief, and grief is something you feel the loss that cannot be recovered. So there are different stages of grief. First of all, when it's too much for you, you deny it. When the pain is too much for you, it's body's defense mechanism to deny it and take it slowly when you are ready, when your mind and body is ready to take it. So your unconscious preserves the body and reject it. So slowly and gradually, you create acceptance for it. And after acceptance, you can keep that loved one in your memories. And again, grief is not the problem in most of the cases. What people do is they magnify the pain by attaching guilt and regrets, and they have these kind of thoughts, oh, wish I could have done that for my loved one. Oh, why didn't I do that? Why didn't I take care of them? Why didn't I got them treated by the best hospital, best doctor? It's not just the grief that is the problem. I had one client during the time of COVID. He lost his grandmother and he was really attached to the grandmother. Now the problem was not the loss of grandmother. The problem was that he was the first carrier of COVID in his home. Then he thought that I transferred COVID to my grandmother. He lost himself because he started giving himself labels like, I'm a murderer, I have killed my grandmother. So the pain became 10 times more for him, and he was not ready to accept it. Actually, this belief system, like blaming himself, was actually helping him to survive the pain. The self-blame was helping him to go through the grief, because he wanted to grieve about her a lot because of the love. So self-blame was helping him, and he took therapy, and it was really difficult for him to let go of this belief. So the problem was not grief. So if you're someone who is going through the loss of loved one, please delete the regret, guilt, shame, or any other emotion, because this thing was meant to happen the way it has happened. Please accept it. You are not a god. So only grieve about the loss and keep telling yourself that it's a journey. This life is a journey. I'm going to meet that person very soon. And cherish all the good memories that you have. Cherish the resources that you have inside you from that person, because all of us, we have something that connects us. So cherish the resources. When you think about that person, don't think about in this way that they will not be with me in the future. Think about that, oh, I have really good memories. Again, self-talk. The way you talk to yourself, the way you tell yourself some stories. So stop telling yourself the wrong stories and change your narrative if you are telling yourself the wrong stories.
Healing is a process, it is a journey. In a similar manner, it is unlocking purpose. You've shared so many powerful gems to give ourselves grace. We can't be the strong one if we don't accept our vulnerability. Invest in strong connections and relationships. That might be your biggest investment in life. Discover your purpose and to see how you can help others along the journey, and reframe your self talk, how you talk about yourself. Focus on the issue, release the guilt, the anger, and everything else, because those can also have impact on our health and as well as our well-being and all of that. And if possible, tap in with somebody, check in with a family member, unlock with a therapist or a trained professional, somebody who is trustworthy, and go through that, get the healing that you need to go through the different stages. So many powerful gems. But Madiha, before you go, for somebody who is watching and listening, what are your final parting words to them?
Just take slow steps, not give up, Keep the hope to yourself. Just be kind to yourself, because your biggest responsibility is to take care of yourself. And this responsibility and this job was given to you since the day you were born. This is the first thing that you will do. So, not give up on yourself. And also, no one has been created incomplete. Neuroscience has proved that mind is neuroplastic. If you keep on believing that I don't have anything good, you will live your life this way. You can never find something good in yourself. If you create this belief system, every person has some gifts. The difference between you and a talented person is that they believed in themselves and they found the gifts. Because of their belief system, they found the gifts. They didn't find it naturally. If you look at all the successful people, for example, Einstein, he worked so hard. He was not like, we cannot say that, okay, luck also play a part, but luck comes afterwards. First, you have to create the opportunity, and then opportunity and preparation meets 100%, then comes the luck. If you are going through a really painful time, just take a pause and then ask yourself, what does God expect from me in this moment? What does He wants from me? Because it's your painful time in which you will be proud of yourself the most. It's not your easy times when you are proud of yourself. You are only proud of yourself when you do big stuff after the storm. After the storm has passed and how it has transformed me, these are the moments that make you feel proud of yourself. So instead of judging those moments, can you just be grateful and again take a pause and ask yourself, what does God want me to do in this moment? What is the responsibility that He has given me in these moments?
What an incredible conversation today, Purpose Seekers, and incredible and beautiful guests. I'm sure you will let her know in the comment section. So thank you so much for joining us. And it was a privilege and a pleasure to have you, Madiha. And to our Purpose Seekers, if you want to stay connected with us here on Sold Into Purpose, all you have to do is to follow us on all socials at Sold Into Purpose. That is SOULED into Purpose. You may watch the video version at Akeelia Thompson, so that is AKEELIA Thompson on YouTube. We'll have that information on screen, so just follow us. We also have the audio versions at Sold Into Purpose, so that is SOULED into Purpose. Feel free to connect with us. So Purpose Seekers, until next time, I'm your host Akeelia Thompson. Remember that it is not the beginning, but it is the continuing to the end until it is faithfully, wholesomely, purposefully, and wonderfully accomplished. Until next time, see you soon. If you are out there, you're an author and you wish to advertise your books, or perhaps you wish to partner with this vision, all you have to do is to reach out to us. The information is provided on your screen. So please scan the QR code or send us a message, send us a WhatsApp message, and we'll be happy to share your brand with our community, as well as to see how we can collaborate on different ventures. We appreciate your support. If you are out there and you wish to partner with us to share the vision across the globe, please feel free to visit our website at Sold Into Purpose, that is SOULED into Purpose.com, as well as you may scan the QR codes that are presented on your screen. Feel free to also use the donation buttons and forms on our website, and we have our show link. Feel free to click that link and show us your support. We appreciate all that you do for the show, and we will continue to be sold into purpose. Hi there, Purpose Seekers. You know that we believe in holistic development right here on the Sold Into Purpose podcast. So if you're out there and you need any form of digital services, or perhaps you wish to become a thought leader on LinkedIn, all you have to do is to connect with me at soldintopurpose@gmail.com, or you may send me an email at awesomepres, so that is awesome, PREZ@gmail.com. I'll be happy to help you with your website development, social media management, LinkedIn management, the whole 9 yards. So please feel free to reach out and we will provide you with quality services. The Sold into Purpose podcast is brought to you by Awesome Press, creating digital solutions just for you, inspirational media creations, creating quality productions, elevated events by Keels, and your favorite creative entrepreneur.
It's time for soul stories. Come